I gave the ticket to Brendan Ogle, who went and gave it to somebody else. So.
Okay, well, we're now live. Vanessa gave her ticket to Brendan Ogle, but Johnny didn't take it, or somebody didn't. What happened there?
No, nothing happened. Sorry, folks.
Not at all.
The only castle that I'll be going into is one I'm invading.
Oh, okay. Good evening and welcome to Broadsheet on the Telly. My name is John Preposterous Ryan. You're very welcome, Broadsheet readers and commentators and the trolls. So many in the last few weeks. A big welcome to Johnny Keenan from Kilkenny. Hello, Johnny.
Hi, John.
How are you? Hello to Spain, to Neil Curran, who is in Spain.
How are you doing, lads?
How are you, Neil?
Hey, Neil.
How's it going?
Are you in an underground car park?
Yeah, you could say that. No, I'm outdoors.
Okay. And Athlone, Kenny?
No, Ballyfourn, just outside Athlone.
Okay.
Named after me, is it?
Couldn't tell you that.
It probably is though, Kenny. Kenny Tynan. We'll get to Kenny in a second. Kenny's got some bad news, I'm afraid. And Vanessa Foran.
Hi, everyone.
Celebrity accountant and hair by Marco.
Yeah, hi, Marco.
Glasses model zone.
Project placement.
Marco from, if you're watching last week, was Brazilian first-time voter. Not sure how he voted. Probably yes, was it?
Oh, I think he was a very strong yes.
And it was great to have him on board. And he did your hair this afternoon, Vanessa?
Yeah, just a wash and blow dry. That's all.
Just a wash and blow.
Yeah.
Was he? I gather he was horrified at the state of your hair last week.
I was mortified from Dublin Castle. I was tweeting pictures, and he was kind of going, "Oh, geez," whatever, Yeah.
Well, we're going to get. You were at the count, Vanessa, and tweeted throughout the day brilliantly. We have to discuss the journalist-subject relationship, Vanessa, at some point. It's supposed to be like a dog treats a lamppost, rather than. You're not supposed to cuddle up to them. That's.
But I'm not a journalist. I was just.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Chatting, that's all.
Sorry.
You're a celebrity accountant, John.
I know. Yeah. I thought you had your broadsheet hat on rather than your celebrity accountant hat. Forgive me. Want to go straight to what's wrong, Vanessa?
Nothing.
No. The pictures were fantastic. Vanessa, there's no. It's a joke. This is
okay. That's all right. I know. I'm laughing. Don't worry.
Okay, it's not a great joke. Kenny Tynan, we had you in a few weeks ago, Kenny. You joined us and told us about your situation. Kenny was diagnosed with a brain tumor. None of the medication that he was given worked. He went to Spain. He took cannabis oil. With 10% THC. It's from Green Lights, is it, Kenny?
No, that's the Irish company that's licensed to produce it. I was actually getting it from CCTN in Barcelona. Okay,
and Kenny then lived in Zaragoza. Any of all his symptoms disappeared, and there's a report that Johnny made where Kenny's wife, Mary, is interviewed and said that you were just a completely changed man on the cannabis oil, but with the other medication, you were like just zombified from it. But Kenny, can you keep us up to date, or get us up to date? What happened in the last sort of 48 hours or so?
Yesterday, I had a consultation with my oncologist up in Dublin. I received a letter last week to come up on Wednesday. So I thought that was because of a previous email that I had sent another consultant, and that I got a reply from that said that he would write a letter of support for me.
Yeah, sorry, Kenny. Can I just? I haven't really explained it to people who haven't sort of. Kenny then is not. These are not under the. There's three reasons why you can use cannabis oil in Ireland, and it's epilepsy, it's recovering from chemotherapy, and it's MS is the third one. Now, Kenny has a brain tumor. You haven't had chemotherapy yet, Kenny.
No.
And you're trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
But for you to get your cannabis oil, it's not under those three requirements, but you need a consultant to give it the okay.
Yeah, that's it basically. Yeah.
The last time we spoke, you couldn't find a consultant.
No, I couldn't find one, but I ended up emailing two consultants up in Beaumont, and one of them never got back to me. Actually, the two of them never got back to me until the second email. Your man came back to me. I asked him, would he write me a letter of support that I was going to possibly have a meeting with the Minister for Health, that the TD Boxer Moore was after promising to arrange for me. And he replied back, "Will do, Kenny." And then a couple of weeks pass, and I get an appointment for an appointment for Beaumont with an oncologist up there, that I also had included in the emails back then that I hadn't got a reply off. So I assumed, so I made an ass of you and me, and assumed that he had been in contact with the other consultant that was based in Beaumont, to discuss my case, but he hadn't. He just looked at my files and he says, I won't be giving you a license. I thought that's what I was up there, but we're not in contact with the other guy, you know. He says, not besides the reports, you know, the last report of his last scan. And to be honest with you, I said to him, why did you have to call me the whole way up here, like, you know, to just tell me no?
Kenny, he was saying that the scan was what? That there'd been improvements, or?
No, he never seen the scan. So he
never saw the scan.
No, he only seen reports, and he speculated, right, that that the cannabis treatment could actually be doing me harm, and that my scans, there could have been enhancements in the scans, but all the while being still classified as stable. But that's not in any report, like, you know, that I'm sure I'd be the first one to know about that, like, you know. So I left the place yesterday feeling hopeless, like, you know, like he's very, very matter of fact.
Right.
Could
I not have emailed you this or told you on the phone?
Yeah, that's what I said to him. Did you have to drag me the whole way up here just to tell me no? And he says, "Oh no, we don't do these things over the phone or by email."
Yeah.
You know, and like he could have, like I got a Skype or Skype consultation with doctors in Spain, you know, and doctors in Ballinasloe, Portiuncula Hospital there. Mm-hmm. I had a Skype consultation with. You know what I mean? Like he could have done that. You know, I it was very sadistic, I thought, you know, of him, you know, because like there's documentaries out there that state that oncologists like that they buy in the chemotherapy and they mix it up themselves and sell it on then to the patient at a profit, like, you know. So
Kenny,
you know, there's vested interest there, in my opinion. You know, that's just a theory that's out there, but
yeah.
Okay. It's
Kenny,
clear to me that,
I mean, ironically, if you went on chemo, you could get the oil, right?
Yeah, but I'd have to be very sick from it, like, you know.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy, like, you know. I'd have to be dead on my deathbed, like, and they'll give me anything now for palliative care, like, you know. Like I could get morphine if I wanted to, you know, and they won't give me a plant that you know, is doing me no harm, you know. I'd be functional on me script, you know, on me 150 milligrams of each per day. But give me morphine for pain or give me chemotherapy tablets or radiation treatment. I'm not functional. I'm sick in bed. That's the.
Kenny, I don't want to ask you, but do you have access to oil now, or
do I have access to oil now?
no?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, of course I do. It's no bother get access to oil. But it's not my script that I've access to. Like my script was very precise. I knew exactly what I was taking each day. And what I have access to now at the minute, I have to be very careful with.
In terms of the quality of the oil?
No, not in terms of quality of the access, because I've gone through all the different levels of oil, and I found the master makers in the country, and I've seen their products, and I know where to go to get good oil,
Yeah. Can I ask you just about the potency? It's 10. You said 10% THC on in Johnny's documentary.
Yeah.
Normally, what would it be, about 2% THC, or?
No. Normally, the Rick Simpson oil can be anywhere up to about 70% THC. Yeah, it can indeed. But the thing with that is, like there's no way of measuring it. Like, say a rice grain size, work your way up from that to a gram a day. But like that's the difference in the rice size grain for me could be like a difference in a functional day or a day in bed, So I like to have it precise,
Kenny,
I like it.
Kenny, what evidence did the consultant present to you regarding that cannabis treatment might be affecting your recovery?
Not a single bit of evidence that he showed me at all. No, he was just stating his opinion.
Right.
So, yeah.
Vanessa or Neil, is if there's any questions in the chat pit, or if there's any questions you guys would like to come in, I have to recommend that Johnny has done a really good report, beautifully filmed, and Kenny's wife Maria. It's a very moving.
Yeah.
It's a very moving report. Nice work, Johnny.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. But really, kind of was down to Kenny and Marie being so welcoming, letting myself and Sean O'Hara has been doing an awful lot of work in relation to the cannabis thing in Ireland. So he kind of really put it together. But because Kenny is just such a lovely guy, and Marie as well, it was just more of a casual conversation that needed to be told, because Kenny needs to be humanized, it's just on the surface it's just someone looking for drugs, but it's actually a guy looking for medicine that was given to him by a professional doctor in Spain. So with everything that's going on in this country at the moment, the HSC is in crisis, and this man wants his medicine. So the least we could do was just humanize the story, and thankfully we've got up to 15,000 hits, and I know hopefully people will take on board that we have to stop the hypocrisy in this country, John. Everyone has a role to play, so it doesn't take too much to sign a petition. I don't know if it's up to 10,000 yet, Kenny. The one Mike Cunningham.
Mike printed it off yesterday, and there's 6,000. It's
6,000.
honestly,
How many?
it's a 300-page document. So.
Jeez.
Well, I signed it anyway.
Okay.
I got an email from the president of Ireland as well, wishing me well and hoping to get it sorted pretty soon. But he couldn't intervene because it's not his place to. And I hope I understood that, But it was good to get a well wishes from him, And I even said that to the consultant walking out, and he just said, no, he just nodded his head, like,
He sounds like I'm sorry if children are watching, but he sounds like a real jerk.
Well, sadistic is what the way I'd like to describe him,
Amazing.
No empathy, no.
Zero empathy.
Yeah.
Didn't connect with his patients at all.
I think the GPs have been looking at that in the last week, whether they will or they won't do their job now. And what's the elephant in the room? Is it a big pharma companies that are are not allowing this to go through. But it's been dragged out, like, and you know, there's a lot of pulling and dragging there with Kenny and his young family. Like, it's just not on. It's ridiculous.
Well,
Kenny, I mean, sorry, Vanessa, please.
No, on 5/7 Live today, on Mary Wilson, Professor Jim Dornan was speaking. Well, he was principally speaking about, today the PSNI trapped a drone that had the abortion pill, and he actually gave it was a fantastic interview, actually, and if you can get it on podcast too, because he moved down into the need to decriminalize these abortion pills, but he also mentioned about decriminalizing and legalizing cannabis. And now it was very brief to how he introduced it, but what he did was saying by legalizing, obviously it was principally the abortion pill, but when he linked to cannabis to it, he said by legalizing, you get to control it. At the moment, there's no control, so people are taking the abortion pill without medical supervision and what have you. But he was very clear about how cannabis should be legalized as well. And he was very thoughtful, very understandable, very empathetic, and introduced a whole new dialogue to the introduction of abortion into Ireland. So if anyone can get it on a podcast,
sure.
It's really worth listening.
Okay, Kenny, could you read out the letter from Michael D?
I'm sure I could get it. Yeah, if you give us a second.
It'd be great to, very decent of him.
Yeah, sorry. The chappers are wondering about where they can get the report than the film.
The which?
Oh,
the report.
Oh yes, sorry.
The film.
Absolutely. It's currently on YouTube, but I was going to do a post after we had our chat, Kenny. Mm-hmm. So it'll be up after the show, but it's available now on YouTube. What's the title of it?
It's called Kenny Tynan Dying for Cannabis.
Yeah, Kenny.
If you search for that in Facebook or on YouTube, they'll find it.
Brilliant.
Maybe just Kenny's Facebook page, Kenny Tynan, for all updates. I think because I think everyone has to talk to this, guys. So.
But it's brilliant. It's Johnny's. Johnny, it's a great report. And Kenny.
Yes.
I don't know if is there in your neighborhood, is there a gang of teenage female burglars?
I don't know. Does that look like a teenager girl going in and out? Does it?
Yeah, well,
that's my wife. So.
Wow.
What?
That's my wife.
Hi, Marie.
That's Mrs. Kenny.
That's Mrs. Tynan. I'm punching way above my weight there now. So
oh, you're.
But anyway, you were asking me about the letter from the president.
Yes.
And it says, "Dear Mr. Tynan, thank you for your letter of the 27th of April 2018 to President Higgins, in which you describe your difficulties with revenue relating to this seizure of your THC-based medicine. I'm very sorry to learn of your difficult situation, and I hope the matter will be resolved for you soon. However, the President has asked me to explain that while he has received requests from people for assistance for intervention, he regrets that the nature of his role as President is such that he cannot intervene in or make representations about matters which come within the remit of government, or indeed in any institutions of state which might have responsibility for the area to which your letter relates. I have raised the matter with the Department of Health, and I hope they will be able to assist you with this matter. The President hopes you will understand his position and sends his good wishes. Yours sincerely, Secretariat." Nice,
very nice. And Kenny, you told the consultant, you didn't show that to the consultant today, did you?
No. I knew that myself that there was no point in arguing with this man. He was that matter of fact and closed-minded about it, and he was still trying to basically get me back on chemotherapy. So he was, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it is big pharma. There's no doubt about it. It is big pharma, guys.
Of course, but they've lost the war, though. Kenny, is this just bad faith, or is this just bad? This are the last days of the anti-cannabis kind of. You know, it's been accepted almost worldwide, Western world.
Yeah, my question is to any doctor here in Ireland is that don't believe in cannabis. Why is there, we put it this way, all these doctors all around the world, the ever-increasing amount of doctors that are prescribing cannabis for conditions like mine and other conditions, are all them doctors, are they all wrong? If they are, tell me, and I'll stop taking cannabis now, I'll go down the chemotherapy route, you know. But they can't be. It can't be, you know. So it's only a matter of time before, the doctors here catch on, you know. A lot of them do support it. It's just their insurance won't cover them, and their indemnifiers are telling them not to do it, like, you know. So.
They're very. I find the TDs are very, very timid as well. I mean, I know there's a couple, Gino Kenny, and. Did you mention Boxer Moran, Kenny?
Yeah.
Yeah, Boxer Moran. He's kind of like a local legend around.
Well, he has a seat at the table, isn't he? He's part of the Alliance Pact. He's supposed to rotate a ministerial seat.
Yeah, but him and his advisor had seen the appeal that I lodged, and they said the evidence that I provided was more a statement of fact than an actual letter of support from an Irish consultant, and that's where they thought that I could have a bit of problem with if they set up the meeting with the minister, you know. So they're basically waiting on me to get a letter of support. But last night, anyway, I wrote to the consultant that promised me a letter of support, asking him apply for my license. I said I gave him the set of requirements that I got from the Department of Health, and I put my letter from the president as well, you know, and I says, here, look, all I'm asking for is whether you'll do it or not. I need to know, so I know what steps to take next, you know. Like I'll understand if he says, yeah, look, I can't, you know. I can't do it, you know. I can't apply for you. It's you know, it's I don't believe it'll work for you or whatever, like, you know. But I need that answer pretty quick, like, you know. So right. So I know where next to go, you know. What next to do, you know. There's I said in a post that I chained myself to the doll, you know, and I'd hunger strike, you know, and. That's what it comes to. That's what it comes to. You know? Well,
Kenny, if you're going to walk from Athlone to the Dáil, I'll walk with you. How's that?
I don't think I'd be able for that at all.
Well, we'll push you. We'll push you.
We'll push it.
Neil has a lovely pram.
Neil, he's got a McLaren stroller. Is that right, Neil?
Bugaboo. Yeah.
Sorry, Neil.
Bugaboo, you have to get the brands right.
Oh, Bugaboo. Sorry. Hello, Neil. Your line is a little bit sketchy. I want to go back to Vanessa. Vanessa, what I meant to say was that you were very you were photographed with every party. That's what I was saying. You were sort of cross-party.
Yeah, but think about it now.
I thought it was very democratic.
They were all dying. Well, that's true. But they were all dying to have a chat because they were sick of talking to journos and everybody else. So they were all dying to have a chat. Yeah.
Can I just go back a little bit because on this time last week, we and you, I mean, we correctly predicted this result.
Yeah, but I think it was a bit earlier than that as well. It was about 2 or 3 weeks prior to that. It was 67, 68 predicted, and I remember the board just went deep on it. It was a complete reversal, really, like a U-turn of the 83 result. It was the 83 result was 33 no, which was the equivalent to yes last Friday as well. So yeah, it was Broadsheet called it, and I'm happy to say Sky News featured it and said who I think it was Jennifer Cassidy actually they were interviewing, and it was to a T. Broadsheet predicted it, and actually incidentally one of the people that'll turn up in the photographs in a minute in my behind my shoulder actually is a broadsheeter and knew we called it.
Oh right.
So everyone was in great form, like particularly the Fianna Fáilers were in great form because Fianna Fáil really struggled with this campaign. You know, they really did, and you know, the majority of actually the Fianna Fáil TDs in Leinster House were actively campaigning for a no vote. So you had a few renegades there.
When you say
renegades is probably unfair.
When you say actively, Vanessa, you mean holding rallies and? Yeah.
Oh, John McGuinness was quite. I have a photograph. I haven't loaded it up on the chip, but what I might do is I'll tweet it tomorrow. Everyone, there's actually a photograph of the Fianna Fáil TDs that were actively canvassing for a no vote. And I'm going to pull up. That's somebody's asking the chat bit who this is. That's actually Mary Lou.
Who's
behind me? That is Jennifer Cassidy's boyfriend. His ticket was Mr. Biscuits, so it was Mr. Biscuits.
All right.
Couldn't make it. So
Fluffy Biscuits couldn't make it then, no.
No. So
well, Jennifer was great last week. I thought she was very, very pessimistic at the time, and Shane Hennigan, who's a psephologist. At least he got arrested for it anyway. No, he's a vote. Like he's
isn't it? Somebody polls, is it?
Indeed, and he was saying.
Yeah, I do know something.
I know. You know a lot. Vanessa. He said he predicted a soft no.
Did he know?
There really wasn't anybody. I think the Sunday Times went for that. This is going to be a convincing yes win, but elsewhere nobody else. Johnny, could you see it coming? Kenny, could you see it coming? Neil, could you see it coming? All your mics are off, by the way.
Sorry, mine isn't. Oh, sorry. I have some Fianna Fáilers behind me there, Johnny. If you want to go to the loo.
Oh right, that's Will you describe that?
I shared the same.
Neil.
Neil predicted a no, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got that. I was very I didn't have the confidence in the young voters coming out.
I think there was a significant number of the older voted yes.
Yeah, I do too. I think it was the mother's revenge or the grandmother's revenge.
Yeah, it seems like that now.
Neil, the line is breaking up. Would you turn out your computer on and off and come back to us?
Doesn't work in Spain, John.
It's looking very sci-fi, isn't it? There, where Neil is coming from, there's a bit of a Star Wars sort of.
Space.
Just our satellite has been playing up all night. So Vanessa, that's. Oh, okay, Neil. We'll see you in a second. Okay, we have a couple of special guests as well coming up.
Can I just say quickly, John, because I know Kenny has to get off. He's busy with music and such, and the kids. Just like that was last Sunday week we did it. Myself and Sean went out to Kenny's house and were well received. And he's got 3 amazing little boys. They're just really cool little names. Lovely names. I'm sorry, I forgot one of them. I called one of them Samuel, didn't I? Joshua.
What's the boys' names? Isaac.
Blake. Is that right?
Yeah, Joshua, Isaac, and Blake. Yeah.
And they're in the film.
Yeah, they are indeed. Yeah. I have an older guy as well, but he's living in Galway. He's in college. So yeah.
And just what Johnny was saying there, the music. Kenny is a DJ, and musician, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I've been producing music under my own name now for about 5 or 6 years. I present a radio show on Fever FM every second Wednesday as well.
Oh, right, okay, and that's continued throughout the illness.
Well, I started it when I came back. Well, the DJ show, but the producing and that, I was producing from my bed in Beaumont, like, you know.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Is it just like, you know, for just kind of what we can do and the great Broadsheet public listeners and viewers, like you literally just need a consultant that has a pair of balls to say, I'll vouch for this man.
Yeah, and I'm willing to sign a waiver, guys. You know what I mean? Like, so he's nothing to lose.
What about like any consultant? It doesn't have to be particularly like.
No, I think it would have to be an oncologist.
Like you couldn't get John Crown, who would be sympathetic, wouldn't he? I mean,
don't know. I don't know. What's his speciality? What's
I think it's pediatrics actually, but
John Crown. No, John Crown is oncology, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he is. I'll tell you now.
Quite an appeal to John Crown if he wants to help Kenny or any consultant. Is there a consultant out there dealing in oncology or?
Do you know? Could it be? What about an oncologist in? Yeah, he is. He is an oncologist actually. Lad. So Professor Crown, if you want to reach out here and have a look at Mr. Tynan, Broadsheet would be very grateful.
Yeah.
Do you know? I wonder if we found an oncologist up north, because we have a share agreement with the NHS.
Oh yeah.
And the actually, if you wouldn't mind going back to that later on, John.
Sure. Yeah.
The thing is that
there's a news for those who voted no on that.
Okay, just on the north.
They're going to break for summer, John. You know, Harris is going to just kick this down for the next 2 weeks. So, you know, like.
Okay.
Then you know he's going on.
Sorry, Johnny, you're wrong there. Like they don't breaks, but government doesn't. They're still working.
I want Simon Harris. I want the pressure to put on Harris that it comes down to ticking a fucking a box on a piece of paper. That's really what it is. I don't see any. This isn't complicated, like.
Yeah. Well, it isn't, and it sounds like it's bad faith, and they have lost this kind of drug war, particularly with the one with cannabis, and anyway, it sounds like that they're just being bad losers.
Yeah, well, here, listen, there's human life at stake here. It's quite serious, you know. For any of these government, you know, like Boxer Moore there, you know, it's all platitudes and everything with these lads. I just want to see some action. You know, they talked about, you know, bringing the whole thing together now for women. They're on the stage in Dublin Castle. For me personally, Vanessa, I thought it was quite pathetic. The show Fine Gael put on, and you know, they're actually, they can do this. They can fix this, but why they choose not to is just really frustrating and very annoying. And I don't know what, I can't imagine what it's like for Kenny. It's really frustrating and annoying for me, and I'm not personally affected.
I need to explain what you mean by a show. What was?
No, I just basically want to hit home the point that Kenny Tynan needs our help. It's not next week or in the next few months. He needs it now. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Forget about what I just said there about Fine Gael. That's irrelevant. The only point I just want to hit home while Kenny's on the show is we need to make sure that this man gets his medicine before these guys leave for summer. Yeah, because then there's going to be nothing. So if we can keep the pressure on for the next week, surely, because 7 precedents has been set, 7 licenses have been given. So and they talk about compassionate grounds, Kenny. You know, that's more of the hypocrisy. It's just bullshit. I just can't handle that kind of just saying that and not doing anything. These people have to be accountable. That's what I'm saying.
I know. Thanks, Johnny. Kenny, I know you want to go off. great to meet you. Hopefully we'll talk to you next week and see how we're getting on. We'll contact John Crown if he hasn't.
I think we could get behind something, John. And I actually do think legalizing cannabis is something we could get behind.
Well, I think we could get the consultant anyway, couldn't we?
We've been behind it a few years, but certainly on this case, Kenny. And then we'll fight each case as it goes on when we would just presumably campaign.
But Kenny, I would recommend tracking down, see if you can get Mary Wilson Drive Time today, if it's on the podcast, and see if you can listen to the snippet with Professor Jim Doran. Now, it is quite heavy. The content is pretty much focusing on abortion, but there is an element of cannabis, and his wording in the lead up to it. It's just nice to hear a different voice crafted differently. It helps widen your dialogue on it. Okay. But it's definitely worth tracking down.
Great, Vanessa. I don't think Johnny was giving at you there about anything, but about.
Oh no, I wasn't. I didn't think.
Okay, Kenny. Go in peace, and we'll see you next week. Okay. Thanks a lot for joining us. Namaste.
Namaste, Kenny.
See you, Kenny. Neil.
Yeah.
Live from Spain. How are you?
Good. Is that better now?
Oh, way better.
Yeah, much better. It looks like you're on the beach, maybe.
I'm wherever you want me to be. I'm deep in space.
Okay.
What are you wearing?
I'm lifting.
Is that the show we're having? What are you wearing?
Well, remember, it's later night here for me than it is for you guys, so it's late night broadsheet.
Around about now, I really like to hear what movies are coming up at the weekend.
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, John, because you're in for a treat. You think now, because I'm off of me jollies that I'd have forgotten about the old entertainment. Well, well, first of all, there's a couple of things. One is I completely forgot last week to mention another pile of superhero shite that came out last weekend, which was Deadpool 2. Now, you might remember Deadpool, it's one of the Marvel IP, and Ryan Reynolds plays the character of Deadpool. And in the comic book, it's another comic book thing. It's based on, he's this superhero guy, but he breaks the fourth wall. He talks to the reader, swears a lot. It's pretty graphic. And when it was being made into the movie, Fox took the bullet and made it an R-rated film, or R-rated as it's known in the States, and it did phenomenally well in the box office. I thought it was okay. So in Hollywood fashion, the sequel came out, and obviously it's not as good as the first one. It features Ryan Reynolds, and it also features handsome guy with the chin. What's his name? Vanessa, you know all the hot Hollywood actors.
Guy with the chin, Vanessa.
Guy with the chin. Hang on, I'm looking up my notes. Very low tech now. Deadpool 2.
Oh, I'll tell you. I think they all have a chin.
Gosling.
Your man Thanos. He's in Thanos. He's Thanos as well in bloody the Avengers. Josh Brolin. That's his name. That's his name. Brolin. So anyway, that came out last week, and I'd say that's going to finish up our run soon, because Vanessa mentioned Jurassic Park World Place is going to be coming out next week. So we'll leave that till next week. We're just waiting on the premiere invites to Broadsheet Towers, and then we'll talk all about it. But anyway, as predicted last week, Han Solo has been out, and the reviews are once we get past the reviewers who are brought along to screenings are going to rave about it, and you get to the media reviews. The reviews have only been okay, but it has done pretty poor for a Star Wars flick at the box office. Its receipts have come in much lower than Rogue One, which was the first spin-off movies. It just seems like nobody gives a shit about whatever Han Solo did when he was younger. So I suspect at some point the investors, to talk finances for a bit, at some point the investors are going to tell Disney, look, sort out the Star Wars stuff, because now they're talking about doing this Obi-Wan Kenobi spin-off. And again, if your eyes are glazing over at the thought of that, that sums it up.
Can I say, Neil, last week I suggested that it was Han Solo's hair that it was going to ruin the film, because I thought it was very Disney. He looks like a Disney sort of prince rather than young Han Solo. You know? And I think that Disney actually, there is like It's not, oh, just Disney take over Star Wars. They Disneyfied it then. You know?
Oh,
They did.
yeah.
They did. And to be fair, the guy was getting a lot of stick in the run up to the film coming out, but he did do a pretty okay job. Like, I mean, with a role like that, anyone who steps into Harrison Ford's shoes is going to have a hard time. I mean, look at the abuse Shia LaBeouf was getting for playing his son. Never mind playing Han Solo or Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's pulled it off. But the again, in the build up to it, people were saying Donald Glover, who plays Lando Calrissian, was going to be the one to watch. But it's very much a take it or leave it kind of performance. It didn't certainly impress me. But there's a couple of Easter eggs and things in there for the fans and all that jazz.
You've seen the Han Solo one?
I have, yeah.
Explain.
Yes, we'll just say yes.
Okay. Because I know you wouldn't illegally download it.
You got it. Oh no way! No,
Excuse me.
You can't do that. You can't be on the entertainment slot now and do anything of the sort.
You can't be a celebrity accountant and do that kind of thing.
You can't. Not with Mary Lou McDonald pictures. You certainly can't do that. But anyway, that's not so. So the films are coming out this week. We're in an in-betweeny week, but there is a film now that I'm dying to see. Book Club. It's
all the women.
All the women's. It has all the women's in it. It's got Diane Keating in it and everything. And it's basically yes. And it's basically, get this, here's the premise. 4 women in a book club and they decide to read 50 Shades of Grey. That is the film. So they just basically talk about sex for their 2 hours or 90 minutes that it runs. Okay. And you can probably guess how it's been received by the critics.
It sounds a bit like this show. Kind of...
It does, yeah, except we haven't got our copies of 50 Shades of Grey yet. We have to buy our own.
Speaking of women's movie, where there's an ensemble cast of women, what about Ocean's 8?
Ocean's 8? No, that's not out yet. Let me see when's that's due to come out.
Neil, who's in this movie, the book club movie?
Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda, Diane Keating. It's kind of like, the way they do these stupid older actor male things, go off on bike trips. It's the female equivalent. Candice Bergen.
The Marigold Hotel and all that.
Yeah, Candice Bergen, who was my heartthrob when I was younger.
Murphy Brown. She was Murphy Brown.
She's in it, and Mary Steenburgen as well.
Oh, she's yeah.
There's a couple of Alicia Silverstone has a part in it, Richard Dreyfuss, Andy Garcia, Don Johnson. So there's quite a stellar lineup of
a few gropers there among that lot, according like a few of the
what? People. What did you say, John?
Well, no, wasn't Drake done for one of the Weinstein-y type things?
What did the ladies were?
No. I meant the man. Neil's just mentioned Richard Dreyfuss and.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, that was I think they got over that. It was all sorted, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Not sure. Don't ruin the entertainment slot by talking about Harvey Weinstein.
Sorry, but it must be a difficulty to find actors who were not sort of embroiled in all that.
Well, and of course, the latest one this week was Morgan Freeman, who there was suggestions, allegations made, which he's refuting. He has apologized, but he's also refuting them. And his lawyers have sent a 10-page document to the news station that originally broke the story, basically demanding that they retract their claim. So it'll be interesting to see how
many women have come forward, Neil.
I haven't seen the exact number, but we're talking quite a few from what I read. But there's allegations of him lifting up skirts and lewd comments and all the rest. So there's quite a mix there.
I wonder is all these women only movies coming out? Is there an overreaction or?
This is it. I mean, this is the revolution now.
I think it'll go back to business as usual pretty quick.
Dwayne Johnson. Once we see Dwayne Johnson this summer, that's
actually it. I had a good fun at Saturday. I was showing Dwayne. I was with Senator David Norris, and as you do, and he was showing me his ideal man, and I was showing him The Rock, and he had no interest at all. Completely different taste of men.
Yeah, who did he point out? Like,
George Michael.
Oh right, okay. Greek.
Huh?
The Greek born, wasn't George Michael Greek? Greece.
Greek extraction, anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No, he was totally in love with George Michael. I think he was his perfect man.
Right. We're going to talk about your the Count in a second. But Neil, there's a third movie, is there?
There's a couple more things. So there's picture this. Name some of the most notorious serial killers of all time.
The most notorious
serial killers of all time. Who would spring to
Jack
mind?
the Ripper.
Nielsen.
Jack the Ripper. Yeah. Anyone else?
George.
American serial killers.
Boston Strangler.
Boston Strangler. Yeah. Okay, this isn't going nowhere. So
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer, right? So
Dahmer.
there's a film about Jeffrey Dahmer, but what they've decided to do was rather than focus on, his what he's famous for, it focuses on him being a teenager struggling to fit into school, and that's the premise for the film. It's all about these interesting premises this week. It features a relatively unknown lead in playing Dahmer, and the reviews are better than Book Club. I would say they're better than Book Club, but only barely. But I haven't seen it yet, so I've only seen trailers. So
what's that called?
My Friend Dahmer, it's called.
And probably not one to bring the popcorn to.
It's probably not a date movie unless that's your thing, maybe.
Definitely not wine gums, anyways. So they make a movie. That sounds genuinely like not a great appetizing.
It's like they're trying to get creative in Hollywood with these lists of films. We're all burnt out from what do you call them, from comic book movies. So maybe this is the Hollywood's revolt, a bunch of mediocre films with interesting premises.
And the film is basically like, look at the signs. This is the kind of guy who's going to eat 30 men.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it, so this is all speculation. But if the plot is him struggling to fit into school, I'm wondering are they going to put this sympathetic view of him?
Yeah, but his adult life, I think, has been well filmed and mimicked and regurgitated into different forms for a long time. So this is an area of his life nobody knows anything about. So they might as well go for it.
And probably nobody cares. It's a bit like the Han Solo Chewbacca. How did they first meet? Nobody cares,
Yes. Well, I mean.
Who's playing the young Jeffrey Dahmer?
He's an unknown. Mark something is his name. My notes are gone. Mark Myers adapted it. Ross Lynch is the guy who plays Jeffrey Dahmer.
All right. Yeah, Variety said he really gets his teeth into the role.
There you go, John. There you go. But listen, I do have this other bit of trivia, TV news. So any fans of The Walking Dead, if there's anyone still watching The Walking Dead, Andrew Lincoln has decided to pack it in after season 9 and will be leaving the show. So will they kill him? Who knows? Will they
Which
kill
one
him
is Andrew Lincoln?
Come on. Rick Grimes.
He was in This Life.
Yeah, he's got his American accent is worse than mine.
Oh, he was in Love Actually or something, wasn't he?
He's in Love Actually, and I first came across him when he was in the BBC show Teachers, which was great. So I'm kind of rooting for them to bring Teachers back now that he's.
Well, just this season is just ridiculous. It's just gotten ridiculous. So I've stopped, but I do like the Fear the Walking Dead because I love that lead actress. She was brilliant in Tremé.
I didn't watch it now because The Walking Dead. I read the comic books. And when you have a whole season set on a farm and a TV show, and then you try to redeem it by having this big war with Billy Dean, whatever his name is, and he's not in. You have this big war going on, and he's not in most of the episodes. It just kind of shows where they're at. But I had heard some inside information about the writing process for the show, which was very disappointing. But yeah, The Walking Dead is still popular, but the ratings have been plummeting. But if you're watching it for Andrew Lincoln,
yeah,
season 9 is your last.
No, I think everyone watches it for Daryl because when I was in
okay, what is that
Orlando,
on? What platform is that on?
TV.
Oh, BBC?
Oh yeah, all the channels are. Yeah, it's on RT as well.
Yeah, it's an aim. I mean, it's going so long now. I mean, you'll catch it on most terrestrial TV stations around the world.
It's a huge show. It's a huge franchise now, because when I was in Paramount, or was it Universal? Sorry, a couple of years ago, they had shops of just merch that was Walking Dead. Right. It was all, you know, when there's that big industry behind it, it's a bit more than the Reardons, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's a big hit. I wanted to do a show where I wanted to ask people how much RTE they consume, you know, and whether that is in sharp decline. Would you say that's in sharp decline for you, Neil?
Oh, I don't watch much TV anyway. But I only have Bog 1, Bog 2, Bog 3 on the telly at home. So if the TV's on, it's going to be RTE anyway.
But how would you watch? How would you watch the Lincoln thing for the Andrew Lincoln show, for instance?
Netflix or Terrarium.
Yeah, the internet. All legal methods, John. All legal methods.
Of course. But so that's it, really. Like occasionally, the news, if there was a big story, you'd probably stick on the telly. But
on Twitter.
Yeah, you pick up the news, all right. Yeah.
So
not always, but I would always go for the sports results. You know. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of you're getting a lot of bang for your buck there, Vanessa. But Neil, do you feel bitter when you write that check for 160 or whatever?
160, yeah. But that's not going to go away. We're stuck with that. They're going to change it to the broadcasting charge or the whatever they want to call it, the technology charge. But it's never going to go away. And the standard
would you resist that charge like you did the water charge? Although I don't remember you actually resisting it particularly that hard. But go on.
I resisted the water charges. I didn't pay my water charges. With I mean, they're going to get you anyway. They still knock on the doors. I think you get about 3 letters before they'll knock on the door and send you your legal notice. So that's about as much as I can play the system.
Okay, but would you feel that on the same basis that the water charge? Do you think this is a human right that it's the internet is not owned by RTE for them to charge you anything? I mean,
I'm okay with paying some kind of license fee. I'm okay with that, but having to pay for something when you don't watch it though.
I actually, I was going to ask Neil about Game of Thrones and when the Lord Commander was coming back to us, but if I pay for TV, John, and I want to watch a show, I want to watch it when I want, not when they say 10 to 11 on Eastern Standard Time every Sunday night. If I pay for it, I want to watch it when I want.
Of course, the whole model is completely like.
Yeah. And I think that argument, and actually I think that argument would win. Like I have no problem paying for Game of Thrones, but I'll watch it when I want.
We're moving. Like, I mean, that's the Sky and Virgin give you those options. It's about how much you're willing to pay for it, but you have to pay all that on top of your license fee. I mean, you have the RT player, which is technically free. You don't have to have a TV to watch that, and you have some access to it outside of Ireland now as well. So we are evolving slowly.
Yeah. Well, let's that's like another.
But still, people love to go to the movies, and they do pay Netflix subscriptions. So I mean, as an industry, it's not dying. Well, I think TV is bigger than ever.
I think a few years ago the TV license was safe. I don't think it's safe anymore in terms of.
Well, see, the problem with
it, and repackage it, John.
The thing with it now is people are paying less money to Netflix for what is arguably a better delivery of movies or a better selection of movies on demand. So there is those. We didn't have that 10 years ago to compare with. But it doesn't seem to be putting any pressure on, the government RT. I mean, we've spoken about RT at length and financial practices and that. That's not going. The figure's never going to go down. We're never going to see a cut of the figure. Once you have a tax, it's never going away.
Just somebody in the chat room has recommended Happy on Netflix. Your heart is a drum machine. Has recommended Happy, and actually Shane a few weeks ago recommended Lost in Space. Yeah. And I actually watched 1 or 2, and I was actually connecting with it unusually because I don't really like science fiction because I actually think science fiction is all the shite.
I know, Vanessa.
No, but see, the thing about science fiction, they can put anything out there and say this is real, this is fact, because it's all makey uppy anyway. Do you know,
I
it
know,
doesn't
Vanessa.
have to make sense.
Good science fiction is always a social commentary. It's never about the science fiction.
Well, can it stop being?
Anyway, it's actually, Shane, I did connect with it, and I would have kept watching it, only that, you know, somebody else in the house wants to watch something else. So,
Would science fiction,
would
science fiction ever offer an alternative future that isn't dystopian? It's every movie seems like, fuck, we're heading for robotic hell. You know,
Star Trek wasn't dystopian. It had a socialism view of the future, though. It was kind of communist in its approach to how we'll function as a society.
Yeah.
And it predicted a number of events. It predicted a united Ireland. In Star Trek The Next Generation, there was an episode about terrorism, and Commander Data, Brent Spiner, talks about or made reference to the IRA and their plight for united Ireland. And the episode wasn't shown on Sky, and who was it at the time? Was it BBC or Channel 4 that used to screen it? It wasn't shown for a very long time because of that reference. So there.
And are there Irish people on the?
Oh, Colin Meaney, come on!
Yeah.
Have you not seen the Colin Meaney meme page?
Get out of the way, you nosy bollocks.
Is it from his Star Trek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, Dwayne Johnson also was in Star Trek. He had a part in Star Trek in one episode.
I take it all back.
Neil, is that all the movies and television and stuff for this weekend?
That's all. Does anyone know what's on the Late Show tomorrow night?
No, we haven't got any. We didn't get that email.
Finished that. It's over.
Oh, it's finished. Yeah, for the
summer.
Season. Yeah.
Not enough people paid their TV license, and Ryan Tubridy can't get $500,000 a year, and he won't do it for any less. He's heading over to BBC to write a book on, I don't know, Tony Blair or maybe Theresa May or probably the Queen.
Probably Terry.
And we'll probably end up paying for it because that's why we pay our TV license.
Yeah. Well,
we should start to do a show on Friday night now for the summer.
Well, it's funny because
the late broadsheet or something.
This is in oldie Montreux, but Orty. This was the start of the holidays, I guess. It's like suddenly now all the stand-in presenters come in, and it's a. I think. Sorry.
I think Vanessa's onto something. Maybe we should do readings of 50 Shades of Grey every Friday night over the summer. Johnny, you can play Mr. Grey.
No, I wouldn't mind doing a bit of reading at all. I wouldn't mind reading the Murphy and Ryan report.
Yeah, good idea.
But on a Friday night, Johnny.
Yeah, well, you can look back and record as well. We are the Netflix of Ireland, Vanessa. You can look at us anytime you want.
Johnny.
Yes, sir.
You sorted out your camera and everything. There was fantastic camera work with that on the film of Kenny.
Yeah, but this is all Sean O'Hara, John, you're crediting me. I can't accept it. I'd love to, but it was really Sean O'Hara. I just sat down and we just had a chat. Okay. And he did all that, and he actually did it. We wanted to have it last Monday, so it would be the first thing, set the agenda for the week,
Yeah.
But he had it done, I think, something like 20 hours on his laptop, and it crashed. So he had to do it all again. So Sean, if you're looking, well done. He did a great job. So I'd like to take credit, Sean, but it really, really was all Sean. And obviously, Kenny's got a great story to tell, and he tells it well. So
he does.
Just if people just, as I say, really I just don't want Kenny Tynan's story just to be, that's shocking. Let's move on.
Yeah.
If everyone gets behind Kenny Tynan, there'll be hundreds, if not thousands, of people that will get in on the back of it. That's what I'm saying. Now, people are knocking in cannabis oil. It's not. It's all hocus pocus, and it works for some people, and that's just the fact. So you can't knock it. It's just another form of medicine. There's many different medicines out there. This is just one, and it works for this man. So hopefully that was the intended part of the do the story.
Yeah.
And thanks for acknowledging and thanks for putting it up. So
not at all, brilliant. And the music. Under the thing, the bed of music is a song called Zaragoza by Kenny. We were talking about it before. He said it's not a 4x4. It's a something 37 by whatever.
23. 23 beats and whatever. Yeah, I'm not that musically technically minded.
Yeah.
But he was explaining that it's a big deal. 3 months, he said, for that piece of music. That's serious.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely brilliant work, Johnny. But what I was going to say was that at very little expense, there's a mini documentary. The problem I think with something like RTE would have to bring down the crew and lights and everything and all that.
The question is why wasn't RTE doing it?
Yeah, well, that's another thing.
That's not what they do. That's not what they do.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, Johnny, because they're looking for public sympathy now regarding, they're losing money and the cutbacks and everything, and just when they need the public sympathy for the last 6-7 years, they've been hammering the public effectively. I mean, their coverage of the Irish.
They've been taking the piss.
Absolutely. Well, the whole country, the whole establishment have been taking the piss. And last Saturday, I don't know, it was almost relief, and for especially for the women of Ireland and all the women that didn't get satisfaction from 83. That was almost, and everyone was kind of slagging, how could you possibly be celebrating? It wasn't really celebrating. It was more of an outpouring of emotion. It was relief, and RT did nothing to help the cause for repeal. While we're on RT, they just never got behind anything good of a grassroots organization in this country, and they never will, because they're part of the establishment, the propaganda for the establishment, the church and the two main political parties, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. That's their agenda. They're not interested in. It's just the status quo. That's what RT is for. And I don't give a fuck. I'll never pay my TV license. Not a chance. Never. No way.
Okay.
And Dave McSavage and Ray Darcy can line up and pay for me. I won't accept it.
Yeah.
Never. No way. They're criminals. A lot of them.
Well, I tweeted Sean O'Rourke's show on Monday morning.
Sean O'Rourke's wife is now media head for Charlie Flanagan and the Minister for Justice.
Okay,
come on.
Okay, but the people are allowed to have jobs and stuff like that. But what I would say about
I don't think so. I think that's a little bit too close.
No, I think look,
everyone's entitled to livelihood. No,
on his own.
She didn't do an interview. She was just headhunted. That's amazing.
Sure, I've been headhunted into roles before.
I have a habit of doing that. Remember the newscaster there? He was headhunted there. I think it was by Albert Reynolds. I think it's a habit that goes on between RT and Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. I think Brian Dobson.
Funny enough,
was brought in there.
Yeah, Johnny, 1 second. Funny enough, Sean O'Rourke, who I think has shown is probably there on merit because he's very bloody talented. I mean, the guy's incredible. Broadcaster,
his delivery is brilliant. Yeah.
But my God, is he conservative? And if he's not in Opus Dei, they should ask him to join because the guy is.
John, I don't know about that too much. I actually think he follows the official press statement from whatever state agency is giving it. I just think he follows a line and he does it very convincingly.
Yeah.
And he's very good at moderating debates. Very, very. He's actually better than anyone there of moderating debates, I think.
They're all fairly good, talented in their own way, but they don't ask the right question. They don't ask the right questions. That's the point.
He's instinctively establishment. I mean,
he's
body. I mean, you can hear it in his voice when he's talking.
And it's a real waste, really, because he, as you say, he is incredibly talented.
Well, but that's why he's there, because, I mean, during the Irish Water stuff, as I say, as I keep on sort of saying, that show was really, really listened to. It's sort of, it was setting the agenda rather than Morning Ireland, which had before, or even Marion Finucane. It was a very important show, and I think he did the Irish Water movement a great disservice. That show did. Funny enough, I think it extended to the live line as well, and you got to look at the.
It's not about giving them a great disservice, John. It's about discrediting them. That's their job. Is to discredit any kind of movement in this country. They did it for 35 years for the repeal movement, but they couldn't because it just galvanized and it won. It got over. That was done not by Fine Gael, not by Fianna Fáil, not by RT. It was done by the women that was named. I forget now. Sorry, off the top of my head, but just the hijacking that went on of that was just unbelievable. Like literally, it was Claire Daly. it was Joan Collins, it was Mick Wallace who brought to the Dáil in 2012. None of them wanted to know, but when they understood how popular it was, I'm more of a kind of, I suppose from
the exit poll that RT did actually got some fantastic information. There was a pro-choice. There was of all those that voted that were in the exit poll sample. That now I should ask RT, can I have the full report? But of all in the sample that said they voted yes, 84 were voting because they were pro-choice, and only 16% of that 84% had only voted yes since this referendum. So there actually was a yes vote pass 5 or 6 years ago because the pro-choice majority were there. So I thought that was very interesting. And less than 20, actually it was only like 16% of the yes voters in the sample voted because of fatal fetal abnormalities and in the case of rape and incest, whereas 84% were solid pro-choice anyway. And their position was long-standing. It wasn't recent. Very little of it changed. So you are right, the vote was always there, but you have to remember also in 2012 we had a very unstable environment. We had a Fine Gael Labour government that was literally a band-aid because they did nothing. They were just.
Well, it's just kind of look at Fianna Fáil. They had a vote to see to make sure that the referendum wouldn't even go ahead. That's how much Fianna Fáil were behind it, or not.
Can I say something about that government? It was that was the end of Kenny government, and if you look at the constituency returns, actually Mayo. I know people say Donegal had the no vote, but actually Mayo's no was stronger really. If you were to compare the numbers and the turnout, Mayo had the strongest no vote in terms of their turnout, I think, because the Donegal vote is not quite accurate. So just from a conservative point of view, Mayo, which would have been Enda's stomping ground and home ground, and what is he, a third generation Fine Gaeler there, or he's definitely second generation. The Mayo vote is quite interesting compared to the rest of the country.
I have to say that it's a watershed because it shows finally. I mean, it's a vote that shows that we're not a conservative country. That it may have been the case.
Well, I think John, it showed Fianna Fáil up big time.
It has. Yeah,
I think Fianna Fáil have struggled the most with this.
But also, I think the people in. I mean, I have to say it again. The media. We have political commentators who are actually more conservative than the populace at large. They can't see these things coming. They're in a bubble that's reinforcing their views.
I do think.
1 second, Vanessa.
Yeah, sorry.
Their inability to predict anything at this stage. I mean, they literally get everything completely wrong. It's not that they don't have a finger on the pulse. They don't even know where the pulse is anymore. Just finish here. You got people like Pat Leahy and Stephen Collins not predicting this thing, right? And then afterwards explaining why it happened. So today Stephen Collins was saying it was Leo Varadkar responsible for the landslide.
Yeah, I heard that.
Last week he said that this wasn't going to be a landslide. That this is going to be a.
Yeah, but I think political commentators on mainstream are groomed. I just think they're groomed for a job, and then they just call themselves political commentators. I don't see any independent thought or independent research.
There isn't a history of it in Ireland, Vanessa. Is it?
It's here. We have it here.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but exactly. I can't believe, and I'm not being smart when I say this, I can't believe how there isn't more people copping on to the alternative media. And RT have so much leverage in relation to what people are saying still on a daily basis,
But
just for example, and I'm not going to go off point. I just think like it is a conservative society, and especially the public sector and the media. You know, they don't want loose cannons, or well, for want of a better term, or you know, truth seekers even. You know, they want the narrative not to be swayed, because there's so much to lose now. Now is the revolution. You know, this quiet revolution that Varadkar was going on, bollocks. This shut the fuck up revolution that Varadkar wanted to fucking keep everyone down. You know, like, there's so much going on. There's so much wrong going on in this country. But what the best thing to come out of the referendum, apart from women having autonomy over their own bodies, obviously, but the young people coming back and voting, and the young people here voting, that is the proof that democracy does actually work. I'm cynical about voting and that, and I've talked to an awful lot of heads who just don't do politics, and they're a lot happier for it. But it does come back to that little bit of autonomy that people have when they put the pencil and they put that X. You know, that is serious power, and they know this now. They know this, and I don't know whether an election is the right thing right now, but I think Fianna Fáil have. You know, the irony of Michael Collins signing his own death warrant. I think Fianna Fáil have done it, and I just want to see those bastards buried now. I think
you see, Johnny, I think you need to manage that behaviour a bit better, because
no way. The stuff that party did in this country is just unbelievable, really.
Vanessa, I don't think
enough time to program, but.
He's it's just hyperbole for effect, but Vanessa, I don't think he's literally going to physically attack them.
You know,
no, I'm not going to start planting any bombs or anything like that. I just hope people don't vote for them anymore. That's all. Yeah. I'd like to see.
Well, you see, I would like some people to vote for some Fianna Fáilers, because those Fianna Fáilers that campaigned actively to remove the 8th Amendment, they were very isolated within their own party. They really were. They were really struggling, even in their own constituencies, because the majority, they have to remember, it's a show of hands at the Ardèche, so it was 5 or 6 to 1 at their Ardèche told them to support retaining the 8, to vote no. And you had a handful of Fianna Fáilers that said, no, we don't believe that. And 2 of those lads are behind me here, Timmy Dooley and Billy Kelleher. I mean, Timmy Dooley went toe to toe with every single no header, toe to toe. And his entire constituency, his whole area was Dooley says yes. And we really should get him on the show, really, in my opinion. And Billy, you too, Billy, because we know you like Broadsheet. And it was very difficult for them, and even for Micheál Martin. No, I know I kind of sniggered at Micheál's change of mood, right?
Yeah, you did.
I did. No, and I accepted. And
I know, in fairness, you did.
And he didn't quite say it, but he did get a bit snotty about Broadsheet in a mild way. But then in his own constituency, his running mate Micheál McGrath was very dominant in the no campaign.
Tell me, sorry, you just reminded me. You said Colin McGorman had a few bad words to say about Broadsheet.
No, he didn't have a few bad words. He just kind of mentioned when, do you know the night?
Yeah, I do, of course.
It was during the day you'd had the chat and you'd notes, and it was that. I don't think he was impressed with how we did that segment. But sure, I mean, Mr. O'Gorman, you can get me on Twitter if you want to come on the show.
Tell him, come on.
Yeah,
maybe he's just upset he is not in one of your photos.
What's his name? Conor O'Gorman, is it?
I do have a photograph of him. I'll send it into Broadsheet. Sorry, I do have more photographs. He probably is.
I thought we'll give him an amnesty.
I thought it was completely fair to I gave a fair account of our conversation. I really did. Also, God, on such a happy day, he thinks of all those petty things. It's funny, isn't it?
Well, I found that strange. Sorry, I'm looking for. Who will I go for? There is another Fianna Fáiler. Did you see that one?
Big Jim.
Yeah.
That's Jim O'Callaghan.
Yeah.
Is he doing the Saturday Night Show?
He'll actually, yeah. Jim was, you know, it's pretty laid back. None of the Fianna Fáilers would, when I was trying to pin them down on the Oris, the presidential run, none of them would say anything. They were literally closed shop. Yeah, I mean, if they did stand out, those Fianna Fáil, yes, supporters that went out and knocked on doors, they did stand out for me. Because they were in a minority in their own party, and like even go back to Micheál Martin's running mate there with McGrath was very dominant in the No campaign. So Fianna Fáil, it's interesting. I had always thought Sinn Féin would struggle with this the most, and actually they've come out of this literally. Mary Lou is the leader. You know, she's been a champ. You know, she has been a champ in this whole thing.
It's been extraordinary the last few weeks because it's
for her, yeah, and I'm glad. She delivers. It's not by accident.
Yeah.
And can we just acknowledge Claire Daly here?
Sorry?
Can we Claire Daly?
Can we mention who?
Claire Daly. Claire Daly.
Sure.
Yeah, right. Because I've been hearing all about Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil and Mary Lou all week. Claire Daly brought the bill in with Joan Collins and Mick Wallace, you know.
It was a different bill.
If the Dáil was run like the Premiership, they'd be in the Champions League. Yeah?
Yeah. Well, Claire Daly...
hang on, this was a referendum. It wasn't alleged. This was a referendum. So
hijacked by the main political parties who did not support it initially until it got until it was proven that the people wanted this.
Yeah, it's fair enough. That's fair enough.
But the proof was there from 5 years ago.
That's fair enough, Vanessa. I mean, that's a fair point. Can I just say hello to Olga, who's joined us from her shift in town?
Hey, Olga.
Hey, how are you, Olga?
How are you, John?
Very well. The Times Ireland edition and the Examiner has just come in.
Okay.
And I can't share it on the screen. If you want to.
Are they in? Are they posted? No.
Yeah, I just posted them. I haven't put in the UK papers, but
okay, hang on.
The Irish ones are there. Olga's been at the Disclosures Tribunal all week, live tweeting. I'm not sure whether you've been following it, but it's if you're in the media, it's very intense kind of stuff.
Very.
The former editor of the Sunday Independent accusing the current editor of the Irish Independent of coming into her office and saying that Maurice McCabe is a paedophile. He's a paedophile, and then another executive saying he's with the thing with kids, with the issue with children. To her credit, Anne Harris didn't take any of this, or didn't convert this to anything other than skepticism and.
And also she
found out she did her own research.
She did her own research. She didn't believe. So I suppose I should just say chronologically, a freelancer said it to her first in a news conference, and she hasn't named the freelancer because she believes that there's privilege attached to news conferences because.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh, but sorry, yeah.
And also that he was a freelancer and he's not in an executive position.
Exactly, so it's less damaging. Yeah. And also, I guess, in regards to Ian Mallon and, well, particularly Fionn Sheehan, her point is that she felt he believed it. And so she felt by naming him and putting that forward, that he would come forward and say who said this to him. Now, he's denying saying it, by the way, completely categorically, never said it, according to him. But that's her view of it. And similarly with Alison O'Reilly from the Irish Daily Mail, she's saying that, Debbie McGann said certain things to her, and she's also saying, look,
her
colleague, yeah, she believed that Debbie also believed this, and so, but yeah, Anne Harris she's got a great voice for radio. Yeah, she's very softly spoken, so she went through it all, and.
She was editor of the Sunday Independent when kind of Dennis took over the paper, and Stephen Ray was made group. She was answerable now to Stephen Ray as group editor.
That's right, and she talked about the difficulties of that, actually. Yeah. Yeah,
but the conference then, Fionn Sheehan would have then come in as under Stephen Ray's request.
Yeah.
Because Fionnán was working for the Irish Independent.
That's right. Yeah.
So he's now
and
working.
So
for
I think and I think they're, you know, she was saying that, you know, she had pieces published in the Sunday Independent that he had written. I think she said there were 5 pieces, and that would only happened under her watch. And she was kind of saying, so I suppose, so Fionnán is denying it, and she's being accused of being bitter, and that this is just kind of born out of a vendetta, and she's just making it up. But she says that they had a perfectly good relationship, and she was talking about having texts on her phone to show it, and so yeah, I mean, it's just a case of one person's word against another's, and we've seen this a lot in the last couple of weeks, but definitely in the last few days even more acutely.
Yeah, and we'll get to Gemma O'Doherty in a second. Just the Alison O'Reilly and Debbie McCann, they both work for the Irish Mail on Sunday, is that right? Or they both work for the Mail? Both.
She worked the Mail group. So the Mail on Sunday is a different paper to the Daily Mail, obviously, but it's a shared kind of office, and but different editors, and they would have both worked at the Mail on Sunday, I believe, at the time. And so just to remind people, Debbie
friends and colleagues, weren't they?
Friends and colleagues, yeah, very friends and colleagues. And I suppose to explain the background, Debbie McCann was the first journalist to knock on the door of the Miss D house in early 2014. And we've heard evidence from Miss D and Mrs. D and Mr. D, the D family, and from
Miss D is the person who's made this allegation.
Sorry, yes, thanks, John. Miss D is the person who made this allegation in 2006 against Sergeant McCabe, which was found to have no foundation. And then 7, 8 years later, suddenly there's journalists knocking on the door around the time of the penalty points matter. And so Debbie McCann, we've been told, is the first journalist who went to the house, and we've been told by the D family that she was turned away. This has also been in the statement that Debbie McCann has made to the tribunal.
Okay.
But Alison O'Reilly is claiming that Debbie told her that she interviewed Miss D, that they spent an hour with each other, that Miss D was very upset. She described how she was sitting on the settee and physically shaking and holding her arms and telling her this. But the evidence of the D family is that they never spoke to her. Okay.
And but ultimately, I don't want to get us bogged down in.
Thanks, John. Please direct me, because I'm just frazzled. Yeah.
It's basically Anne Harris's word against Fionnán Sheahan's. It's Debbie McCann's word against Alison O'Reilly's. Yes. Is there any corroborating evidence of?
Well, just to go back to Alison O'Reilly and Debbie McCann, and it just finished this evening on a kind of a funny note. Alison O'Reilly has told the tribunal of conversations that she claims she had with Debbie McCann, and the claims in these conversations include that Debbie said that she got her information, she got the story about Maurice McCabe and her information about it from Dave Taylor and Noreen O'Sullivan, and her father confirmed it. And that's very serious, because that's the only person who's connected this thing to Noreen O'Sullivan. Yeah. And the thing is that it was Alison who spoke to Brendan Howlin. Brendan Howlin got up in the Dáil. That's what kind of really pushed just before the tribunal was set up, really.
Yes.
So it's extremely serious. But when it came to what Debbie McCann's position is, because we heard the other day when some of the evidence was read out to, I think it was to Noreen O'Sullivan or Martin Callan. I'm sorry, beg your pardon, I'm not too sure.
Debbie agrees with the contents of that.
Well, she doesn't challenge it.
She doesn't challenge it, right?
Or at least we haven't heard a challenge to it. And so just this evening, just before Alison O'Reilly came out of the witness box, there was a kind of a back and forth as to what exactly are Debbie McCann's instructions on that.
Okay.
So it's not clear. She has given a statement, and it was read into the record today again. So I think we've heard it 3 times now, or twice anyway, in which she says that she was part of no campaign. She was not negatively briefing Alison. She said that they did have conversations, but there's no explicit, I never said that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it stands. So tomorrow, Charlton was like, look, this has to be fair to Alison, to be fair to Debbie, and to be fair to the tribunal, it has to hear what her position on these certain alleged conversations are. So tomorrow morning we're supposed to hear, maybe.
But her barrister didn't challenge it today, or it wasn't.
The barrister for Debbie McCann today, basically argued that she was also embittered in the same way that it was put to Anne Harris that she was embittered.
Yeah.
Because Alison O'Reilly, without getting too bogged down in the details, because I don't actually know all the details, but the tribunal did hear some, details. But Alison O'Reilly wrote a story about that family who, a very tragic story in Buncrana and the pier in 2016.
Yeah.
And the woman, she lost her husband, she lost her kids, and Alison O'Reilly interviewed her or went to the house, and there was a story. And in today's evidence, Alison said that she worked with she worked with two people from Mail Online or something, but she also said that she was warned by a freelancer, Stephen Maguire, for the story not to run, and this was put to the paper, but the paper ran it anyway. Right. Now, the paper, the mother, the grieving mother, she took a case against or she at least raised her concerns with the paper. The paper then issued an apology. Okay. And Alison O'Reilly today made some references to what happened in discussions that she had within the office with certain bosses about that, and they weren't challenged, which people might want to read back on. But look, that's really not for this story, right? But essentially, she's been accused of just being bitter and making this up.
Okay, because of her treatment
exactly, and she's taking cases against the paper, so they're ongoing. So
okay,
yeah.
Sorry, Vanessa, because I want to quickly. Noreen O'Sullivan and Terry Prone.
Noreen O'Sullivan and Terry Prone. So we heard of further communications between the two of them, and that communication was taking place just after the protected disclosures were made, and they became, I suppose, public knowledge. And so there were texts back and forth between them. I mean, I think there's probably more texts that possibly the tribunal could have possibly seen, maybe just to kind of flesh it out, because, they're just kind of snippets. But Noreen O'Sullivan just basically explained that Terry Prone is paid by the guards to, assist the press office. Strategic communications, I think, was the term used. Yeah. But you see, Terry Prone was also involved in the composing of a letter on behalf of Noreen O'Sullivan for the Department of Justice, assisted by Department of Justice officials. So she was kind of working on both sides. So, I mean, it's just another example, I suppose, of how Terry Prone is just kind of at the centre of most big scandals in Ireland, So
and not just scandals. I couldn't believe it. This evening we got a tweet, Olga, that Terry Prone had been an advisor on the Yes side for three of the women, Ava Smith and two others, apparently according to the Phoenix. But so
I didn't see her anyway. I didn't see her anywhere near it.
Well, you don't really. I mean, it's all behind the scenes. But her emails to Noreen O'Sullivan, it's like they're like schoolgirl.
Oh, it's terrible. Terrible.
It's just awful. I mean, if you thought the one to the French journalist about the Tune babies was superficial and
or like happy reading, Last Chance Saloon, it's just.
And anybody who's sort of like a friend wants to sort of support Morris is like, that hero, thinks he's a hero to McCabe, and it's something like getting involved in getting into your work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't want to say anything. Yeah.
Well, no, it's just that I don't have the words at the top of my head. But I mean, I'm surprised to be honest, can I just say that I'm surprised she's not a witness, though?
Yeah, but she might be it.
She won't be a witness.
She won't be. But I just think if it's the case that, let's say she was, let's say if she was advising, let's say, Fianna Fáil at the same time as she was advising Noreen O'Sullivan, or if she was advising, if someone's advising all these parties that are
essential. Yeah, but they're all of them. I mean, in one of the emails she says, "Oh, I'm meeting MM tonight." That's Neil Martin, obviously, because it was a reference to Fianna Fáil earlier in one of the texts. And so, hang on, wasn't she part of Edna's kitchen cabinet? James Riley, and all that. So what on earth?
But see, it's a business as well, John. You have to remember this. This is a commercial enterprise. she comes across as their buddy or she's one of them. But it's at the end of the day, it's a commercial enterprise.
Vanessa,
so she'll gig with anybody. Everything, it's a job to her.
Yeah, no, I know.
But it's just
I know that.
The complete disrespect for the Irish people. Like, she does be on tonight with the two boys, Dumb and Dumber. What's their faces?
Was she on this evening?
She's on it, and her son is on it, and they talk about everything except the elephant in the room.
Sorry,
everything you're talking about, Terry Brown knows.
Well, I saw her. Well, I didn't see her, but I know she was on the Late Late talking about herself. And I mean, let's be honest with you, her practice is her. It's all her. So I'd love if RT had me on and let me promote my practice.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's just we need to really, I mean, if this tribunal has taught me absolutely anything, it's really about, you know, your sources and, you know, taking information and putting it out there. If there are certain people who have connections or are working to make somebody else look better and they're put on shows to give opinions, well, how do we know that their opinion is their opinion or it's just the opinion they're on the clock?
Well, that's exactly it. And there was a bill that would stipulate that people had to explain who their clients were.
Very true. A couple of years ago, that's right.
Guess who lobbied successfully not to.
Yeah, but I think RT should do that when they introduce people on. They should declare any bias or, well, such and such is also head of this association. He's a lobbyist as well as a lawyer. Or
I know. I mean, you've got Terry Prone representing her clients basically on television. If she's on the couch with Ryan for 8-9 minutes, that's a very
and also just to say, and this is not to say anything bad or there's nothing wrong, as in wrong in the legal sense, but for example, one of the barristers on the Garda team is John, I've forgotten his name, Noel Whelan, and he's very, very often on radio. And I just realised there the other day that very soon after the protected disclosures were made, he was on the Late Debate, I think it was.
Oh, he's never off Marion.
Putting down the story.
Yeah, he's always on Marion, and his wife is joined by Twitter.
Vanessa, please. Olga was just finishing the.
Well, it was just this particular radio show, and I mean he just was completely diminishing. It was just after the protected disclosures were made. Claire Daly had been questioning Noreen O'Sullivan in a committee, and if you remember, it was a very sustained questioning, and Noreen O'Sullivan just kept repeating, "I have no party, no party," or something like that, and
completely robotic. Yeah.
And no. Whelan was entitled to his view on radio, but it's just funny then that he's on the Garda team, a couple of months later, he's
on the Garda legal team.
Yeah, so it's just, and like I said, there's nothing legally wrong at all, but it's just, it's how it's done in Ireland, and it's really
he's a free father.
Not good.
Whelan.
Yeah, he stood unsuccessfully, I think, for a seat. Sorry, Vanessa.
He's a very good. He's written a book on tallies, I think, as well.
I'm sure he's a very clever man. I'm sure and that's obvious, But
yeah. No, it's just a circle of friends, and it's jobs for the boys. Simple as that.
But it's why they're getting. Yeah, it's also why they're getting it wrong.
Is that legal?
It is, because we were talking about the RT and political correspondence and that they follow a press release, and I've noticed in RT whatever press release they're given from an establishment, semi-state, state or government, they follow. They do not contradict. Because I on Monday, the opener to the show, when they say who's on or what I don't know what do media people call it, when they run the titles and they say, oh, well, coming up is so and so, and we're going to talk about this. Well, Sean O'Rourke said the landslide that nobody predicted, that nobody spotted,
and
3 weeks ago, actually it's pretty close to the numbers were posted on Broadsheet, right?
Yeah.
And I tweeted them and I said,
They
no,
ignore
you're
us.
wrong.
They ignore us. They don't care.
Well, I mean, I wasn't kind of touting for the credit. I was merely saying you can't go on the airwaves and say no, nobody predicted it.
Johnny's ruined it for us with them, with RT now. We can't do anything with them. We can't go to their parties, or they say it's your man. Johnny's ruined it for everyone.
Well, you
Come
know,
to our parties.
There ain't no party like
Cheers,
the
Johnny.
party.
yeah, no, but it would be great, like, to just say to this is cutting edge, lads.
Well, last week's show.
You want cutting edge? This
Last
is
week's
like
show was cutting
no
edge.
script, just opinions, a few expletives, but that's my lack of language, so I apologize. But I don't need anyone to defend me or offend me. It's been done plenty of times. I would just like to see a new dawn has happened this week. I just want it to be acknowledged, and how we can all move forward together from this conservative nepotism, cronyism, Asher nodding the wink, bigara, keep them down, say nothing, all that bollocks. That has to stop. You know what I mean?
That has to stop.
Well,
It has to stop on the show.
Has an opinion and that has a socialist point of view. I'm still very much an outsider in this country. So, you know, I'd like to see some more people, like, maybe, you know, just not being judged for having an opinion.
You see, Johnny, you say it has to
come from a
stop.
good place.
You're saying it has to stop. It has to stop. Thing is, it's never going to stop.
It won't stop. Of course it stops.
What will change is we'll know about it. You know, if there's something cagey going on, or there's a bit of backhanding, dealing, or something is not as transparent as it should be, people find out very quickly now.
Okay.
You know,
absolutely. But what do they do with that? What is information overload as well, Vanessa?
It's discredited very quickly, you know.
Yeah. So here's one thing I want to just point out. I'm sorry to be cutting across, Vanessa. I just think, like, it's very important that this week is monumental, and it will be proven in history how monumental it is. And the backlash, I don't know if it was a protest vote. I don't think it was. People are saying, but the backlash against the church is absolutely deafening. And to see what RTE did today, again, the establishment, they got together and they had a serious chat behind closed doors. I'd say the Vatican was in there. Said, listen, lads, no, the Pope is coming.
Yeah.
I don't know. They fucking voted to have abortion, whatever way it's going to be done. But that's a big fucking hex to the Vatican and the church. And how they're dealing with it now is they're using the Magdalene Laundry survivors. They're bringing 200 of them over to parade them next weekend. This is your one there, the dragon Nora Casey. Yeah, the big cheerleader for the Pope coming over. Now they're putting on a gig for the. It's pathetic. They're actually capitalizing once again on these women.
Yeah,
it's happening next week. They're doing a documentary and all that. RT are involved. The president is opening up the house, and they're going to have a barbecue. Like, the president's not taking money out of his own fucking pockets. We're paying for all this, yeah.
How are we paying?
Vanessa, this is a good.
We're obviously paying for it, Vanessa. Michael D. Higgins is an elected president, so he's talking about opening up the Oireachtas for these women, like it's his house, like he's paying for it. He's not paying for it. Okay, we're paying for it. So these women are coming over, which is great for them in a way. But what really should be done was, Ray Darcy played in the Kenny's speech 5 years ago that he gave in the Dáil. And there was no irony lost between Darcy and Casey, saying he said that 5 years ago. The redress has not been redressed.
No.
What the fuck? Just give these women the money. They're in their 80s and early 90s, yeah. And what they're going to do, they're going to bring them over for 2 days, and we're paying for this. The church needs to pay for this, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So what I'm saying is that the next step in this process, because a revolution is a movement. And the movement can't stop now. The next referendum has to be separation of church and state. The tokenism of Burton there today, because they know they're losing. Oh, all right, you don't have to get baptized now. So he was able to put that in law like just overnight. No, I tell you what, they're not getting baptized and they're not going to Catholic schools. How about that? They're on the run, lads.
Okay.
And it's great. I feel really energized, and I think we need to kind of, hone that and get rid of this conservative Ireland and move forward into the 21st century where we're a liberal society and the people are in control, not these poxy establishment parties that are outdated.
Okay.
They're outdated completely.
Okay, Johnny.
With nothing to give for a new republic that's being built around them.
Johnny.
All grassroots, by the way.
Sorry, thanks, Johnny. Olga, so Alison O'Reilly.
Gemma.
Oh, Gemma.
Yeah, so Gemma.
Gemma O'Doherty was she's been in since yesterday.
Yeah, so she was in yesterday afternoon, and then she was in this morning. So she finished this morning, and yeah, so she took the stand, and she outlined to the tribunal what she had heard, and which was from John Wilson, that who had heard from somebody else who we know was Alison O'Reilly, that was put down, that Debbie McGann was apparently calling, was saying these things about Morrison Cape.
Yeah.
So that was her evidence, and the thing is that because she had plenty to say about the guards, she had plenty to say about Paul Williams, and she argues that she believes that that things went worse for Morrison Cape and intensified after she broke the story about his penalty points being wiped, which was in April 2012. And she also, she got a lot on record. She put on record that she knows of Garda files being given to INM management. And also, I suppose, just to explain, she talked about what had happened to her when she went to the house of Martin Callan to confirm that it was his address when she had this pulse document about the penalty points being wiped. She talked about what happened with her in INM after that. But the thing is, bear in mind that this isn't really relevant.
Something wrong with your mic.
Sorry. Oh, I think it's just overheating. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just it was breaking up.
Sorry. So I suppose there was just a lot that might. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's kind of break. It's doing that breakup thing.
Sure. That might be just the reception.
Yeah.
It's kind of doing that helicopter thing.
No, it's okay.
But anyway, the guards brought up a Facebook post that was that they said that was on her Facebook, and it was about Dave Taylor and Noreen O'Sullivan. It was from March, but it turned out that she was in actual fact tagged. But that went on for about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes about this Facebook post. And to be fair to the judge, he did step in and say, like, really, I'm not going to, what am I supposed to do with this kind of thing? Yeah. So the thing is that I suppose the guards were trying to put stuff to her about Noreen O'Sullivan, and the judge said she hasn't said anything about Noreen O'Sullivan. She just told us that John Wilson told her this, and that's kind of it. But she did get an awful lot out on record about treatment, INM and the guards, and various stories that she had been working on. So, but she was just so courageous, I have to say. I think it's funny when you're sitting listening, because she was just very combative, let's say, with the Garda Council and INM's council, and to the point I think everyone was like, just that really eek. But she powered on, and it's funny when you read something back, it's a very different experience to when you're sitting there, and it was quite powerful. Yeah.
You've got to remember that the thing that drives Gemma is she was fired for doing a job, and her husband, who worked in INM for like 30 years, Peter Carvasso, I knew him, and he walked out he left immediately. Then he got cancer and died, or fast-acting cancer, very fast-acting, and both of them had been like Indo-lifers. They'd been part of the Indo family, and when I say family, I do mean family. They're all bloody related to each other. Everybody who's in there is, and to be cast out like that is
that's right. And she also said in her evidence that she was told that she could have a job back if she stopped writing about Garda malfeasance. Thank you. and but she refused. And then she also had her apology written into the record, or read out into the record, the apology that she got from INM after her case against INM.
Well, that was
and like I said, a lot of people, I think a lot of people in the room, journalists included, were like, oh my God, this has got nothing to do with this. But I think in the wider context, and when they look back in the future, they will see that, you know, that there is a kind of parallel conversation going on about the guards and the media in general, not just about Maurice McCabe. So I think that is worthy. But she said some very, very strong things.
Okay. And she's finished now. The question.
She's finished now. She's finished. Yeah.
Okay. Well, she certainly got her day in court, as they say. Or
she did. Yeah, she did. So tomorrow it'll be Alison O'Reilly is up. Forgive me now, because it keeps swapping and changing because the days change. So obviously people have different things. But I think Justine McCarthy is up. I think Philip Boucher-Hayes is up, and Colm Kenny. Colm Kenny is an interesting one because he wrote an article in the Business Post, I think was it last year, and he says that 2 journalists said to him the allegation about Maurice. And oh, sorry, you can't hear me.
No, we can hear you. There's just this like pulse.
Yeah, it's a click thing.
It's because it's overheating, I think. But just to say, Colm Kenny, he wrote an article in the Business Post last year where he said that 2 journalists had put the Maurice McCabe allegation to him, and he felt the way he worded it was that he felt that they kind of wanted him to believe it or some such. So I don't know if he's going to name them. I don't know what, but that should be interesting. And Philip Boucher-Hayes as well will be after him.
Yeah, so. Philip Boucher-Hayes is going to claim that Martin Callanan told him that
Maurice had psychiatric issues and he could tell him horrible things, which Martin Callanan denies. But that's Philip Boucher-Hayes.
Yeah, hats off to Philip Boucher-Hayes. I mean, he's
very much so. Yeah, I agree.
He also stood up to Terry Prone about a year and a half ago on the radio, and I'm sure he can.
And he also wrote, he did a brilliant radio piece after the O'Higgins report. Do you remember that? After the O'Higgins report came out, he did a brilliant piece on that.
He's very good on Twitter. Actually, I'd recommend following him on Twitter. Actually.
Yeah. He's into the he does.
And follow me, guys. I'm still looking for followers. Oh. And Declan Gangley actually got very dickheady about the amount of followers I had on Sunday.
Were there a lot of any no campaigners there on Saturday?
There was one.
Declan.
No, it was Cora.
Sherlock.
Yeah.
Simon Harris.
I was going to say hello to her, and then I thought, no, she just wants to get out. They were bringing her out the gateway where the ministers' cars were at the back of the stage. So, yeah, she was the only no campaigner there.
Okay, it was fairly courageous of her.
Yeah, it was. She was probably just doing a radio interview in the media room. But she was the only no person there. And I met everyone there.
Vanessa, is that a page from Hello Magazine on your wall in the background now?
Oh no! You see, you're secret. You're a bit of a fan of Kate, aren't you? No.
Who is that?
That's me and Kate O'Connell.
Oh, that's Kate O'Connell and
and Johnny actually. Kate is one of the other people in this campaign that doesn't get mentioned enough. She played a blinder in the campaign.
Ask her about cannabis, though, Vanessa.
What?
Ask her about cannabis.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay.
She's a pharmacist.
Yeah.
So what's her position on cannabis?
I didn't ask her. Well, do you know what? You all had your names on tickets there. And you didn't turn up, so you were more than welcome to, ask the questions yourselves.
I think it was just the day for the...
That's the dig at you, Johnny. And you, Neil.
Well, I was saying, but come here.
I told you already, it's an effort for me to get anywhere.
Especially you, Olga.
I know.
Okay.
Well, she knew Olga was getting a shift.
Yeah.
Okay. I put up the papers there. Will you be able to share them?
Yeah, I should be hopefully.
John, can I take a second there just to talk about something the No campaign were very aggressive about during it, and I didn't flag it deliberately during the campaign because I didn't want to have to rope people in to say rightly or wrongly.
Okay.
But a strong line the No campaigns. I'm saying campaigns because there's so many of you. Was that about how our maternity hospitals wouldn't cope with all the abortions. What they don't realise is maternity care in Ireland is a statutory right. It's free. So if a pregnancy isn't going to term and needing the labour, and particularly a crisis pregnancy, is very expensive.
Okay.
It absorbs enormous amount of resources. And if that pregnancy is terminated earlier, that lady is still a patient in the hospital. So whether the solution is a termination or whether it's a full labour to delivery, and possibly then early baby units or critical care baby units, or what we call SCABU. It will actually be cheaper for the state in the long run. So that is a fact. So
okay.
I'm glad that's out there. Just on the Northern Ireland, the patients in Northern Ireland and likewise patients down here, we can go up to the NHS there and use their hospitals, and likewise they come down here.
Okay.
And particularly for maternity care, that's quite common. Particularly, also sorry, John, but also if particularly for early babies, they are actually looked after down here.
Okay.
If a baby's born in Belfast at 24 weeks, they're brought down here to our hospitals.
That's great. Brilliant.
So there's always an agreement there. So girls in the north, don't panic, because you can have your abortion down here in our hospitals.
Great. That's wonderful. Thanks, Vanessa.
You couldn't get me off quick enough, John.
Vanessa, you couldn't say all that again. I didn't quite catch it.
That doesn't matter.
I'm winding up, John. I'm not winding up you.
Yeah. Vanessa, come on. Please, you've lost your sense of humour entirely.
No, I didn't.
Just go to the point side. Thanks. Olga?
So in the Times, Catherine Sands has a piece at the top. Gardaí ready to send file on illegal adoptions to prosecutor. Gardaí investigating illegal adoption practices and birth registrations are preparing to send a file to DPP. The Garda National Protective Services Bureau, which handles child protection and human trafficking cases, carrying out an investigation into adoption practices after about the 126 births that were illegally registered over 23 years. So there you go. Can I say that actually wasn't it great that Conal O'Farta was finally on RTE there the other night?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Conal's done all the work.
Hopefully he'll get an award. But the Brussels set to retaliate over Trump tariff move. Ireland will be a significant loser in trade war. That's that. And then screening test heralds new era in cancer care. A single blood test could screen for several cancers at once, according to research. A girl there, she's at Bloom. And then that's big news down in Cork. Incinerator opponents vowed to keep the fight. This is the Indiver, what is it? It's a waste to energy incinerator in Cork Harbour. I remember writing about this back in 2000, 2001, or 2 or 3, whatever, in Cork. So it's basically, the story is they're by own English. So the An Bord Pleanála has basically decided to go ahead with this against its inspector's recommendation and grant planning for this 160 million euros incinerator. So that's been going on for years and years.
Vanessa, any thoughts on that incinerator in Cork, Vanessa?
Well, it looks pretty rural to me, doesn't it? There in the harbour, like these things are going to have to get built. So I don't know what the answer is. Like, if you're going to generate waste, it's going to have to get destroyed somewhere.
Just to say, John, there, sorry, and Vanessa, there's one story there in the bottom, 5 candidates in running for top guard role.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Well, one was a New York lady, actually, a New York cop.
Yeah, senior female officer from New York Police Department, a former senior guard working for a foreign police agency, and either a Canadian or Scottish police officer. But also in the running is John Toomey. He's the deputy commissioner at the moment, and the assistant commissioner, Pat Leahy. So it's 2 internal and 3 external, apparently.
Okay, I just think they should they have to disband it and set up a new organization.
Yeah, I think so. I think it has to come from the ground up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It really is beyond.
Yeah, it is. Just go back to the Examiner there. There's a great story about love in the workplace. See that?
Oh, Stephen Rogers, the Hearts of almost 50% of female Gardaí are arrested by one of their colleagues, while amid all the trolleys, 55% of male nurses still manage to find love on the wards.
See?
There you go.
So is there a romance going on here in Broadsheet? So
Johnny and Vanessa? Well, Johnny's taken. Johnny is well taken. So eyes.
I wonder is there some romance going on the board between the contributors, because there always seems to be some pretty loud flirting.
Hello to everybody in the mosh pit. Sorry I didn't say hello to you earlier. I'm going to we're going to have to say goodnight now. It's 12:02.
Sorry, John, just 2 secs for me, please, if you don't mind. Stop hitting the microphone. Just the chat pit last week, folks. It was really, really busy. And I really appreciate the amount of people that logged in and were contributing to the chat. But I realised afterwards I missed loads of stuff. So I'm sorry about that. It is quite hard to stay on top of it when it's very busy. And last week's show was just very intense. And you have to stay on top of the show and as well. So I missed loads, so I'm sorry for that. Just can I give a shout out for one constituency during the election, and that's Carlow Kilkenny, please, John.
Okay, consider it done. Is it?
Well, no, it's just it's a 5-seat constituency, and the four TDs were active no campaigners, and there was one yes campaigner, Kathleen Function from Sinn Féin, and they actually brought in a huge result, and she was out on her own. So I just want to make for the 4 out of 5 TDs actively campaigned against the amendment.
Sure.
Against removing the amendment.
So she was one against.
In Kilkenny, there was
Carlow Kilkenny, Kathleen Function.
There was a great guy there.
Sorry, Johnny.
Socialist People Before Profit, Conor McLean. He did amazing work there in Kilkenny.
Great.
It was a great turnout, actually.
Okay.
That was turnout, because in Donegal, actually, just to be fair to Donegal, some of Donegal's boxes are included in Sligo, Leitrim, the urban areas, and it's a very hard constituency and territory to canvass. So to say they were no, I have my doubts. I think they were actually a yes myself. But they contributed more yes votes than Dublin Central. So
okay. Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you, Olga from Cronin from the Sheet. Thank you to Neil Kern, live from Spain. It's amazing.
Live. I'm in the future, though. I'm an hour ahead of you.
And thanks, Neil. Can I say brilliantly produced as always?
I'm just sorry you just couldn't get a word in with me tonight, guys. It was just I just had a lot to get off my chest.
How was George?
George had Buster collar. He had the cone of shame taken off today. Reports from home. And had taken off yesterday. So he's doing great. He's a very, very happy dog now. Wonderful. But he looks. I've only seen him in photographs because I've been away. He looks strange because he's got like half shaven on this side of the head. He's got cone marks. So
cone marks.
Yeah, he's got cone marks. It's like sitting on the grass and then you stand up.
Oh. And will they go away? They'll go away.
And they'll go away. It'll all grow back.
Yeah. They're not for life, those cone marks. As Johnny will testify. Johnny,
I had my 99 today. Some were cone.
Johnny, thanks so much, and thanks for organising Kenny Tynan. We're going to get on to John Crown. Isn't that right, Vanessa? And we're going to find a consultant.
Well, I think we should do something. I actually think that legalizing cannabis is a campaign we should work on together, because I think there's a business case as well as everything else to make for it. I think it makes sense to do it.
That's great. Thanks, Vanessa. We've been doing it for like 7-8 years, maybe.
I think it'd be really cool if Broadsheet could get a consultant for Kenny Tynan. I think that would be an amazing achievement.
Amazing.
I think that could be done.
Yeah.
I think we should do the World Come Out Alone with them.
He can't.
Works for Vera.
Can't walk.
Sure, we can push him.
That's demeaning too. Well, okay. I mean, if Kenny's up for that, I'll push him. You push him, Vanessa?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think by getting behind one man or one person, we're getting behind the whole campaign.
Okay.
So I think.
No, I think this is something we can all connect with, whether you smoke whether you smoke cannabis or not, or whether you need it like Kenny does or not. I think it's.
Yeah.
I do think it's something we should actually put together.
Yeah. Well.
Ourselves.
That's thanks. Thanks everybody. And thanks everybody joining us tonight. We hope to see you tomorrow or see you next week on here. Okay. Good night. Thanks so much. Namaste.